Hello, everyone. I just wanted to do a quick question with Professor Fair. I thought I would talk to you today about a few unusual things that might have happened to you while you were working on your File.io lab. So let me just go ahead and share my screen with you and just talk about some of the things that you might have noticed. Now, this is definitely the most quirky lab that we do. Um, Partly because you're working on all different computers, and then what you're going to see is going to be largely affected by which computer you have and how you have your computer set up. That being said, hopefully there's a few pointers I can give you that are going to help out. And actually, we noticed something new that we haven't seen before in past years. So let's take a look. So the first thing, of course, is getting your paths set up correctly. So again, I would just mention that for Windows users, be using the C colon and so forth, and using your path to wherever you were able to find your directories on your computer. I've suggested some sample paths from a Windows machine that I've been working on. I also have some Mac samples here as well. Another thing that's becoming increasingly popular is the use of the iCloud map drives, which I've seen a lot of, particularly on the Macs. So you may have this on your computer, you have this iCloud drive. Different sections of your computer may or may not be mapped to your iCloud drive, and that is going to affect your paths. Now, the iCloud drive is making use of what we call as links, which means that it appears to be a folder inside of another folder or a directory. However, what it really is it's a pointer to another location, presumably the location on the cloud. So it appears to be directories, but they may not actually exist as they display, which makes it a lot more confusing. So I would recommend that if you have the iCloud drive, that you stay away from using that in this lab. Now, some students have their desktop mapped on the iCloud, so using paths to your directory to your desktop may also not use as expected. If you continue to have issues with this, one of the things you can do is you can just work directly on your hard disk. Not that I would necessarily recommend this is a good thing to do all of the time, but if you're having issues with getting your paths sorted out, that's one solution you can do. So if you go all the way just to your Mac HD for hard disk, you can in fact make a directory there and, for example, read, write, and do your homework there. Another thing people were asking about is question 3, to illustrate the directory structure with a diagram. So some people didn't really understand what I was looking for, but I was thinking something kind of like this, where you're going to just use ASCII characters to show how the directory would be set up. You do not actually have to make all of those that file structure, just to show the tree and to basically understand that you know how the directory tree structure is set up, like we saw in the picture in the slides. Once people get their paths set up, usually these ones are not too bad. The os.path join, this is very useful when you have a path up to a particular directory, because anything inside that directory is going to have a common path up to that point. And so then by doing path.join, you can generate the complete path for something that's inside of that directory, which is what question 5 was getting at. And there's also a similar question like that in your homework. In the poem reader, hopefully this is not too bad. You're going to try to read the poem. You're also going to do some reading and writing of the poem, so hopefully that will go okay. Let's see. The other things that people were noticing is something that I saw on a couple of computers. Again, it was the Macs that I haven't seen before. It was this try except block right here. So if the file doesn't exist, what we would intuitively expect to happen is that it should say that the file is not found in given error. And then this one is going to report the path. However, what we've noticed is that sometimes it actually creates the file. Now, I believe this is happening at the level of your operating system, that if you try to access the file it doesn't exist that your computer is doing that for you. Now, that's not something that Python is doing. That's something that seems to be happening at the level of your operating system. Now, that of course circumvents the purpose of this this exercise here. So you may have a problem using this try except block here if that came up. So unfortunately, that's behaving a little bit unexpectedly, but you may notice it. Another thing that I've noticed that has happened occasionally in the past semesters is that a student attempts to write a file and add some content to it, and the file exists, but the file is empty. What we discovered was that sometimes there's a delay in the writing to the file, which is a little bit peculiar, and I don't exactly know why this happens. But sometimes the buffer from what you've been writing doesn't actually push into the file for some period of time. Now, I know that that's very unsatisfactory to say. Sometimes you just have to wait and see. But we did notice that if we were debugging it, and then all of a sudden, content appeared in the file, and so that did happen. So just be aware of that. I know this is a really quirky lab. I know that the paths can be somewhat frustrating, so I'm sorry for that. I do like to keep this lab in our curriculum though, because I think that it can be extremely useful, and it is something that people might actually use for doing work. So that's why we continue to have it. I know that it can be very useful for a lot of the projects. So I hope you'll just bear with us, and if you continue to be experiencing any problems with your labs, please turn it in. All right, I noticed again that a lot of students had not turned in their lab on time. Please, please, please turn them in on time. I know you may not be done with them, but it really helps me to get you back some feedback in a timely manner. So I would really appreciate it if you do that. If you continue to have issues, you're of course welcome to continue working on your lab. You're welcome to work on it even if you don't have issues. But you're always welcome to join me in a Zoom meeting during our office hours and or class times. And also, don't forget, we have many wonderful TAs that are all standing by to help. All right, well, thank you so much. I hope you found this quick question to be helpful, and I will talk to you next time. Bye-bye.